Good morning. Welcome to the breakfast show on TSLNIGERIA TV. The election season is here again, and Nigerians are all out, looking out for leaders that will pilot the affairs of the nation for another 4 years. On our show this morning, we were looking at a very critical topic, and that is the issues between delegates and the electorate. We are looking at a situation when who really elects political leaders in this country? Is it the delegates or the electorates? With me this morning is a public affairs analyst, the person of Mr. Fares Okpere, a member of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. So we'll be looking at this topic critically this morning, but before then, I'd like us to go on a quick break. Mr. Fares, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, over the weekend, your party conducted their presidential primaries, and you are in Edo State. We are in Edo State, so I would not want us to go straight to discuss about the primaries organized by your party yet. But let's first of all define who is a delegate and who are the electorates. Let's start from there, please.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. A delegate is, like you rightly said, delegate is someone that is delegated.
Good.
In the English language, someone that is delegated by a group of people to go and represent them. So that's a delegate. So in our own political system here, the delegates are the ones who are sent from the world. We have the ad hoc delegates who are the ones that are elected at the world levels.
Okay.
And then we have the state delegates, which are the ones that are elected at the state levels. Okay. And then you have the national delegates. But I think with this current amendment to the Electoral Act, we now have the ad hoc delegates and the state delegates, which make up the delegates that vote at the presidential primaries. Yeah. So the ad hoc delegates are the ones that vote the House of Assembly candidates, okay. And then the state delegates are the ones that vote at the National Convention. Okay. So those are the delegates. Well, the electorates are you and I.
Okay.
Those who make up the vast majority of those who are supposed to select from the
what the delegates
people,
have given to us.
What the delegates have given to us.
Okay,
exactly.
Good.
So
okay.
And that's.
So now, who is more powerful in this equation? Is it the delegates or the electorates? Because the situation when I only have the option of choosing from what I've been given, which means if I'm given two evils, I have to go for the lesser evil, because that's what plays in Nigerian politics today.
That's true.
Let's hear your view on that, please.
Yes. The fact is that the electorates are supposed to be more important in the process. Okay. But in the Nigerian political scheme, you see that the delegates have become far more important.
Very powerful.
Yeah, because the whole process is schemed to throw up candidates that have not been helpful to the process in Nigeria. Okay. You know, and that's why we are where we are. And if you look at it, if you look at all the monetization and everything,
the process,
everything about the delegates, it's unfortunate. You know, I wish we wouldn't have this kind of process. You know, but to repair it will take a very long time. So we have to keep managing it. The Nigerian democracy is still relatively young, and it will take some time, considerable amount of time, for we to get to the stage where we can really say, okay, we are practicing proper democracy. Right now, we're just patching up. We can't really say we are practicing democracy. We're just patching up. So that's why you see the whole dollarization of
the process,
which is shameful. You know, I mean, I really don't. I'm not someone that encourages that kind of things. I don't think it's the proper way to go. You know, even in the West, where we copy from the American democracy, it's not like that. You see delegates. Just recently, they had think they had the Republican primaries in one or two states, and you could see where 700,000 people participate in the primaries.
You're a party man. You're a party man, Mr. Fares, a member, a very strong member of the People's Democratic Party. Do we still see things like Manifesto, especially when it comes to this issue of your internal democracy in parties, in terms of getting to know the candidate that is trying to vie for police position, checking their antecedents, knowing where they're coming from, checking their leadership capacity? Do you guys do these things in your party, or whatsoever? Anybody that comes up with have enough money to buy the form and give to the delegates, just get to be presented to the electorate to be voted into political offices?
Thank you very much for that question. You see, the whole process right now has been so monetized, so bastardized, to the extent where only those who have the money, the financial war chest, are taken seriously in the Nigerian. It's not just about PDP. PDP is just one political party in Nigeria, but it cut across all political parties in Nigeria. The problem persists in all political parties in Nigeria. It's now an issue of who has the deepest pockets. It's not about your ideas anymore, and that's where we have gotten.
Even your political parties, do they have ideology? Because you see, you said something about the ways that we copied from. You see, we have the Republican, we have the Democrats. You see somebody tell you that in my family, we are all Democrats, because this is what we believe. There's a clear-cut difference between the Republican, what they stand for, and what the Democrats they stand for. But in Nigeria, do you think our political parties, they have ideology? Do you think they have what they stand for?
No, we don't have political ideologies for now. That's why you see this crisscrossing within parties. Because if we have political ideologies, you won't see this jumping from one party to the other. And then, like I rightly said before, it will take some time for us to develop an ideology.
How long will this be?
It can be 50 years, it can be 20 years.
You know why? Sometimes I thought when people come on set like this, and they keep telling us that our democracy is still very young, we need time. Look at the American democracy. But I'm a foundational person. Because if I want to quote from the Holy Book, it said, if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? Which means that if you have a faulty foundation, no matter the time you are given to build on that foundation, it is bound to collapse. So looking at the foundation, do you think the way the political system is in this country, our political parties will ever have ideologies?
Yes, they will have ideologies. It will take time to develop,
because remember prior to 2015, when the APC they wanted to come, one of the reasons why Nigeria, when we needed an alternative, we needed to breathe fresh air. We're tired of the PDP. So they came up to say this is going to be an alternative to the PDP. But 5 years, 8 years down the line, what we are seeing a blend of PDP, APC, CPC, AD, together in one. So what we're having, actually having a political cocktail. So what do you have to say about this?
Well, I'm just hearing that word for the first time. It sounds interesting anyway. But you see, that's the fulcrum of what we're talking about. It boils down to the fact that it will take some time for us to have an ideology. I think as time goes on, parties will start to develop along policy lines. You see a party will say, okay, during our time, we are maybe we are a little bit
infrastructure.
We lean to socialism or capitalism or things like that. You see, and maybe in our time we build more infrastructures. They can circle themselves around that and say, okay, let's make emphasis on building infrastructure. And that party can say, okay, we are more of developing the Nigerian people. So they can have that kind of ideology on human capital development. And then you can also have another party who say, okay, we are not interested in human capital development, we are not interested in infrastructure, we're interested in stomach infrastructure. And you've heard that language before in Nigerian politics. So I say, okay, our own is just to come, give people money, so everybody will be eating, everybody will be okay. So you have that kind of this thing. But it will take time for us to break into different angles. It will take a whole lot of time. That I cannot tell when, but it will definitely happen. And the good thing about what we are starting to see now is that gradually from 1999, you see a shift in trying to repair the electoral process in Nigeria.
Okay.
In as much as we are not perfect yet, but there is attempt to keep repairing it, keep repairing it. If you see the new Electoral Act, if you go through it, you see a whole lot of changes have been made to the Electoral Act that will benefit Nigerians.
Okay.
And I think that if we get it right with how we select, with the selection process, that people can come out and their votes count, which it does now, but not 100%, but it happens, then we can start to gain that freedom, political freedom and political emancipation in Nigeria. Because when I am in office and I know that I can be voted out of office, I will sit up.
Okay.
The moment I know that I have the resources, your vote don't count, whatever you do doesn't matter. If the godfather says it's going to be Fares and that's it, then I will just do what I like. I will be there for the godfathers. I won't be there for the people. But when we know that it's the people that will determine who remains in government, it's the people that will determine who is the godfather, then there will be another shift in the way politicians will start to behave.
Now, Mr. Fares, I like the way you took this last one. You said something about creating a law that will empower the people. Because I think the few years I've spent so far as a Nigerian, I've discovered that the empowerment of the people is only done on paper. I'm going to take your mind back to the signing of the Not Too Young to Rule bill. When it was signed, the youths were excited. Our time has come.
Exactly.
Mr. Fares, we'll have election next year. How many youths do we have that is throwing themselves up for elective position? We still have the old men.
Yes.
We still have our ancestors and grandfather vying for political position. Yes. What happened to the Not Too Young to Rule bill that was signed?
What happened and what is still happening is the fact that the process has been bastardized and monetized, and only those who have the kind of resources. You hear the kind of money that we're hearing about the PDP primaries in Abuja. It's shameful. Yeah. You kind of hear that you have to pay $10,000 to one delegate or $15,000 to a delegate to vote for you. You know, how many youths today can afford that? We had about 600 delegates in Abuja recently, for example, and you have to give you have to target like 500 or 400 to win, and you have to do $10,000 times 400. You do the math, you see that we are talking about maybe like $50 million. Today, how many Nigerians
in this country?
Yes, how many Nigerian youth can mop up that kind of cash to say, okay, I want to throw this cash to delegates to vote for me? You see, the restraints that we young people are having in the Nigerian politics is because those who have been controlling the system for so many years, they've made so much money that it's very difficult for we, the young people in Nigeria.
Okay, now I want to ask a question. I'm going to take this thing from a different angle, Mr. Fares. The angle I'm going to take it from is this. Who make up our political parties? Is it spirits that are these delegates? Are they not Nigerians? Are they not? Because I feel the delegates is just a subset of the electorates, which means that we have Nigerians that are also members of political parties.
That's true.
Now, what happened to our youth? Why are they not involved in party politics? Because we have majority of youths involved in party politics, and Mr. Fares, as a youth, is coming up for a political position. Do I need to be bribed? Do I need to be induced financially for me to say it is Fares that I'm going to vote for?
Well, you have a strong point with your question, but it's easy for us to say this is how we think it should be.
Okay.
But sometimes politics is a game of reality. And if you don't understand that game of reality, you get stoned with the reality when you go to the field. I participate in politics a lot, so I know what I'm talking about. It's a game of reality. We can talk on TV, we can write all we want to write on social media, but the reality is on ground. It will be staring at you.
Okay.
The reality today is that too many people in this country are easy they are interested in money.
Okay.
Too many people. People are easily bought. So, and politicians know this. You know that this is just for delegates now.
Okay.
Go to the main election now.
Okay, we'll discuss.
You see where parties are sitting down discussing how much are we going to give to per voter. It's discussed. Okay. In Akwa Ibom State, for example, we're expecting to get maybe 600,000 people voting for us. Okay, how much are we going to give per voter? Let's do 3,000. Let's do 5,000. People sit down and discuss it.
And people will still collect.
And people will still collect because we are a country that is struggling and there is endemic poverty. That's not even the reason. Okay. The reason is because we have not made strong laws to address these issues. Okay. The Electoral Act that I was praising a while ago did some work, but it's still not perfect because if you go to some countries, they might not, even this country I'm talking about, they are not as rich as Nigeria. Okay. But when you go to those countries, in their elections, it is a criminal offense for you to take a cup of rice and give to somebody. And say, oh, I'm going to a campaign ground. While we are in the campaign ground, we'll not share T-shirts or we'll not share rice or food or bottled water, rice or things that people can eat and take home. It's seen as inducement. It's a criminal offense. We have
it in our laws.
We haven't got to money now.
But we have it in our laws. Yes.
The problem is that we have it in our laws.
Good implementation.
It's not even implementation. It's not a criminal offense. We've not criminalized it.
Okay.
You can be fined for giving people money, inducing voters. But the moment we now make it a criminal offense, which means you can be disqualified. Your party can be disqualified. If we go to a feed out there and we see your agents giving people money, asking them to vote for you, your party can be disqualified for that election. That's when we start to take it serious. The moment when you just go to the field and you see people, these days they have kiosks. They have a kiosk in the corner where people come by the gate to ask you, are you voting for us? Yes or no? If you're voting with 5,000, it's negotiated. It's a shameful thing.
It is.
You understand? So
it is.
And until we start to look at our laws and make it more stringent, so that these kind of things that are shameful will not be acceptable, then we're not going anywhere. Okay,
now, another angle I want to look at it from is the issue of the youth. I'm more concerned because that is my constituency, the issue of youth participation in politics. We keep complaining. Nigerians are good at analyzing issues when they come up. You see the issue of you trying to look for a way. We need somebody that have the 21st century mindset to be able to rule us so that we can move from this stone age that we are to the jet age. In 2020, we had NSAS, everybody was excited. They said, our time has come. We are going to ensure this thing metamorphosed from just protest to having a political party. They came up with the youth political party and all that. Social media was agog. Our time has come. 2023, we are taking over. You are a youth, that's why I'm asking this question. Yeah. What happened to those energies?
Well, many of those agitations ended up on WhatsApp platforms.
Yeah.
Which is very unfortunate because I can't tell how many WhatsApp group they added my number to for but the good thing about I was a key member of the NSAS struggle in Edo. Yeah. After the NSAS protest, I was a member of the state judicial panel on police reforms and police brutality. And we did a whole lot of job to look at the police in Nigeria, and a lot of the people from the NSAS were part of it. I think that's the only good thing I would say that came out from it. But
police reform. Okay, police have been reformed.
No, not completely reformed.
Okay. Was there any reform at all?
No, there was recommendations from us.
Okay.
Those who were parts of the state judicial panels.
Okay, so how far? Is there implementation so far?
No, you asked a question that was different. Let me answer that.
Okay, please answer.
So, so all of the agitations about it's our turn and all of that, yeah. I'm disappointed that we couldn't
sustain it.
We couldn't sustain that energy. We couldn't channel that energy into pushing.
Like a thought force. Come on with a thought force.
Yes, like we trying to push for the right people. The problem we still have, we've been having, is what we have. Look at the caliber of people who are coming up in our political parties today. I mean, I'm a member of the PDP. The person that was just elected as our presidential candidate contested for this same position 29 years ago. I was probably maybe like
A teenager.
You understand? So, 29 years ago.
And they are hailing, the youth are hailing him.
Yes, that's the problem.
You see, everybody has gone articulated.
Exactly. Until we get up and say, okay, enough is enough. We
Yes.
need people who have the vibrancy, the youthfulness.
Okay.
It's something that we have to collectively say it. You can't sit down and have some people shouting. You just collect money and start shouting, this person is this person. When you yourself know that deep down your heart, look at Buhari. I'm so sorry, but you can't expect somebody who is in the 80s to perform.
No.
He doesn't have the energy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the, you cannot wake up at 2 a.m. anymore.
Even the
and sign.
mindsets.
You understand? So
we're looking at more of mindsets.
exactly. So you have this, and the problem is that a lot of young people are so interested in their stomach that the moment you throw peanuts at them, then
Okay, now let's break it down. Let's summarize this now. What is the nature of the problem we are having in this country? Is it a leadership problem or a followership problem?
the leaders, they don't come from space. They once follow us.
Good.
So it's the followership problem.
That's what we have in this country.
Exactly.
Good. And I want to look at it from that angle again. This issue of the youths they are moving from the physical polling units to the social media polling units to play their politics. What's your advice for them?
Well, I think you said something when you came to talk in our conference last time. You talked about social media thuggery.
Yeah.
That's what we are seeing today. And sometimes I just try to go quiet because when I see the kind of rascality on social media, it's not encouraging. We have left the issues. The issues are simple. Today, we have the highest number of poorest people
In the world. Living in this country.
living in Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's a major problem. And the youth, we are not focusing on that. Go to the streets today. You see that our women are not being empowered. Young people are not being empowered. Prostitution, cybercrime is not the order of the day.
Yeah.
Just take a drive in the night around GRA. You'll be shocked. It shows that we have a whole lot. We have over $100 billion of infrastructural deficits that we've not covered. Our roads are in shambles. Our educational system is zero. Young people who should be in school for a 4-year course,
They're online. They're online
they are
campaigning.
doing it 7 years, and many of them are online shouting.
Shouting, yeah.
This is for this.
My
this
party,
is
my people,
exactly.
my party.
So we've left the issues, and we are chasing shadows, and that's why we will continue to remain where we are until we realize that okay, we have to all wake up and say okay, these are the issues. We have to look for people who will end poverty in Nigeria. It's achievable. Look at Singapore. They were like countries like Nigeria before.
Yeah.
They were poor people, miserable people. They decided, okay, let's get the right leadership. And then Singapore is one of the most wealthiest countries in the world today. Look at China.
Yeah.
Look at India. India used to have millions, hundreds of millions of extremely poor people.
Yeah.
But they've been able to, every year, move millions of people out of poverty. How many people can Nigeria say in the last 8 years
That have
President
moved
Muhammad
from this
oh,
level?
so these people were miserably poor before. We've now moved them. They were earning 20,000 jobs before. They are now earning 200,000. So we've been able to improve their lives. No. How many jobs have been created?
No.
You know, and then those who are supposed to rise up and say, okay, enough is enough, are the ones who are now perpetual healers.
Yeah, tweeting for
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what the kind of job they offer you is, come and be social media.
Because they can't use those gadgets.
Exactly.
So they have to employ also
Exactly. So
to do the
that's-
posting for them.
that's it.
Now, I know, Faris, I know you are a very busy person. I would like to let you go at this point in time. But I want to ask you this question, especially what is happening in Edo State, PDP, your party, and what is happening in the national level. I'm not going to take you on the spot. I'm going to ask you a very direct question. So you are the one that will determine how you answer the question.
Thank you.
And this is the question.
Okay.
Is there anything like gentleman's agreement in politics?
Yes, there is. There is gentleman's agreement everywhere.
Okay. In politics?
Yes.
In your party?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Because what I'm asking is that we have it on record that your party was supposed to zone the presidency to the south.
Okay.
Knowing fully well that the North, they've done their 8-year term. Naturally, we expect that we should, because that's the gentleman's agreement. And few weeks to the election, the NWC met, and they threw the thing open. And today, we are having somebody from the North as your president, as the presidential candidate of your party. So I want to ask again. We see what's happening in Edo PDP, the crisis in Edo PDP. Everybody keeps shouting, we had an agreement, we had an arrangement. We had an agreement, we had an arrangement. The agreement, the arrangement, they don't want to tell us. But they just keep saying there's an agreement, there's an arrangement. So, and somebody's not keeping to the agreement, keeping to the arrangement. So I want to ask you again, for the very last time, is there anything like, or can you trust a gentleman's agreement in politics?
Yes, I can trust a gentleman's agreement in politics. And then, though there have been agreements, and I'm sure that those agreements, they are still in the process of finalizing them.
Even when your party is organizing primaries?
Well, I don't think...
we're having parallel candidates contending for various positions?
I don't think we have parallel candidates in Edo. The governor is the leader of our party in the state.
Okay.
And we are his followers.
Okay.
And everything is going smoothly on that angle.
Okay.
So I don't think we have parallel. The national body has said that the governor is the leader of the party in the state.
Okay.
And then everybody should queue behind him. And that's where we are.
One thing I've learned about politicians in Nigeria, for you to be a very good politician, you must be very diplomatic in your speech. And that's one thing we are going to give to Mr. Fares today. He has been very diplomatic in his speech, not willing to rock the boats. This is how far we are going to go on discussion. This morning, we were able to look at the role that the delegates are playing as far as electing leaders in this country is concerned. I'm sure, Fares, you're among the delegates.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Okay, you're not delegates. Because I wanted you to drop your tithes before leaving here, because we saw videos online where delegates were buying brand new cars from the loot.
No, they made a lot of money.
From the loot, yeah. What they call it, loot they made from. That's the reason why politicians can misbehave.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to call them to give account of their actions because they've actually paid their way to power. That's how far we can go on today's episode of The Breakfast Show on TSL Nigeria TV. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at TSL Nigeria TV.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.